And we are back. Let's talk about Backlash. This show
was okay.
I didn't hate it. I wasn't like a big fan of it, and it will just be there. But there are some portions of it that I actually did enjoy. But before we get into our final thoughts of the program within of itself, including our rating, let's go through the shows with the pre-show. Apollo Crews versus Andrade for the United States Champion. Now, this is one of those people that we were kind of nervous about what was going to happen because Apollo
Crews and Andrade are both Heyman guys.
Right, and Heyman wasn't fired until after Raw. So we just did not know that this happened until I think like Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
The match itself was a general Apollo Crews Andrade. Nothing special, nothing hurt. The United States Champion is there, and Kevin Owens is on commentary, and he was the most Canadian thing I've ever heard.
Hooray.
I guess they're going to continue the rivalry between Kevin Owens and Andrade and Angel Garza.
Which is fine.
Sure, that's fine. I don't hate it. And Apollo Crews won with the Apollo Bomb, which I think was the right call.
Woohoo.
Because now Apollo Crews, like I said, getting that momentum that he needs to be a credible United States champion, like what Andrade was.
Right.
So, all good neighborhood there. Let's go with our opening contest for the pay-per-view itself. Bayley and Sasha Banks, Bayley and Sasha Banks defended the women's tag team champions against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and the Iconics.
Yeah.
This match was weird. I did not like this.
It was a weird match.
It felt really stilted. It felt really like cooperative. Where they're like, okay, let's wait for the next spot. Okay, let's wait for the next spot. Okay, let's wait for the next spot. There was no flow to the match. It felt very cookie cutter.
It did.
So,
Very much a spot fest, but you kind of expect that with a triple threat, especially a triple threat tag team.
You can have a spot fest match and it flow very well, and you're very into this match. This match was not. There was a lot of times when girls were just waiting for the right position to get into, to get into the match.
Right.
And I don't know why, because all of these girls are credible. I just think they were just off tonight. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Bayley and Sasha Banks won with a roll-up on Alexa Bliss, and it was just kind of a boring match, kind of meh.
It was there.
It does not help the women's tag team champions. Now let's go into the match of Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, a match that you've already talked about.
Not a fan of the rivalry, but you have to understand they're trying to break that line, but I don't know. It feels weird.
It feels weird, and Sheamus is kind of a weird one to go into with this. Elias was written off of TV because I think he had ACL. No, that's Chris Statlander. He had like a bicep tear or something like that. He's going to be out for a while.
Right.
But
unfortunately,
Jeff Hardy did lose. It was a bro kick by Sheamus for the win.
Yeah.
There were parts of this match that were a little sloppy.
But overall, the match was actually decent.
It was fine. It was a nice little hard-hitting match, and I feel like the match conveyed the rivalry that led up to it.
Yes, it did.
So it felt very
and
like...
it needs a little more time. They probably could have waited for the next pay-per-view to put this on paper.
That would have been really cool.
That is something that WWE is very well known for, is doing like 2-week rivalries, and then, there's a match to pay-per-view.
Right. They try to jam like 6 weeks of crap in a week.
Right.
And it's just hard, especially after you do 2 segments of this and nothing happens. Asuka versus Nia Jax for the Raw Women's champion. Apparently, obviously, you know what Pina Gallery's mindset was. Asuka tried her fucking damnedest, and
Nia Jax is terrible.
She's really bad. She did this suplex thing, and it was like a jackhammer move, and Asuka landed right on her tailbone, and I'm like, okay, Nia Jax needs to get off of my screen because she's going to kill somebody. And the thing that pissed me off, and I'm going to go off on a rant here because I think it's true.
Don't give me some wine time.
Pre-show, Booker T and JBL try to justify Nia Jax's sloppiness by saying this ain't ballet. So, Booker T, fine. You know, he was a relatively safe worker. I heard nothing bad. JBL was stiff. I don't think he injured anybody necessarily. And JBL was never uber sloppy. He was just a little hard hitting. And they're like, they tried to compare Nia Jax to Vader. Vader was in that same case. Vader was just a big, powerful guy who hit you hard, but you walked away with maybe a couple of bruises.
Right.
You did not almost die. You did not have injuries where the staff had to keep you off of television for a minute because they thought you had a concussion.
Right.
Or basic moves. Vader did complex moves, or he punched you in the face. Once again, punching you in the face, Becky Lynch, causing her a concussion, breaking her nose and orbital bone. Fantastic.
Right.
It helped Becky Lynch overall, but,
right.
you know, beside the point. If it was any other girl, Nia Jax would have been in trouble.
Right.
But she did moves in this where you can't even sit here and say that Nia Jax is good, because she's not.
I saw that, yeah, Nia Jax, she, it just is sloppy. Her work is bad.
It's bad. It's like you brought her up too soon. Mm-hmm. And I understand why you brought her up. She's a big girl. She has an imposing figure, and she does have a presence. But
she's also in the Noai, so there's that.
It helps. But, you know, if you cannot perform a suplex properly, where Asuka's landing weirdly, and the people in the crowd could not help but go quiet.
Right.
Because it was like, okay, she actually might be hurt. Thank God Asuka was not, and thank God they got out of this match without hurting anybody.
Oh, and let's talk about the ending of this terrible match. Go start drinking. I'm gonna rant for a minute.
All right, go ahead. I ranted. You can rant too.
Fucking double count out, man. Why do you do this on a pay-per-view?
Hang on, before you go, I don't think they heard it because it took me a minute. The match was ended with a double count out. Asuka still champion. Okay, continue.
Okay, so it was awful. Why do you do a double count out? Why? It doesn't make any sense for a pay-per-view. What? This is supposed to be like a blow-off kind of thing, so that Charlotte can come back in the title picture. What are you trying to do? Just prolong Asuka's fucking funeral at this point? I mean, good lord. Nia Jax sucks at wrestling. Asuka is great. Don't ruin her, please. Okay, rant's done. Okay, rant's done.
That was a terrible rant.
I know. Double count out, though. Thick.
They wanted to get out of this match because the clear objective is Asuka Charlotte Flair.
Yes.
That's the rivalry that they want. That's the rivalry, at least, that Asuka doesn't have to die, but they didn't want to kill Nia Jax's momentum entirely.
Right.
This was a way to at least save the momentum without killing anybody.
Well, why do it in a fucking pay-per-view match?
Because they backed themselves into a corner, and it was a way to get out of it. This is a definite cut. This is a definitely cookie cutter thing. So yeah.
This obviously was a McMahon decision.
Anyway, I'm not going to rant too much about it. I hated the match. I think the decision was terrible. I was scared for Asuka's safety overall because...
Probably the worst match of the night.
We'll get to that later. Braun Strowman versus The Miz and John Morrison in a 2-on-1 handicap match for the Universal Champion. I'm not... Okay, here's my thing. I am not a huge fan of a handicap match happening for a singles champion.
That's kind of weird.
But the match itself, the build was fine, and if they did a handicap match, I would be okay with it. And the match itself was not bad. I liked it. I thought there was really good stuff. I think they really played on that handicapped aspect fairly well, and Braun Strowman won. So I really did enjoy it. Nobody looked bad either. I can see The Miz and John Morrison go for the championship again at some point in time. Right. They were not buried.
It should have been a triple threat, though.
It should have been a triple threat. The rivalry itself was kind of weird. I wasn't a big fan of it.
I wasn't a big fan of this rivalry either.
Right.
I also wasn't a big fan of Asuka and Nia Jax. I wasn't a fan of Jeff Hardy Sheamus.
Right. But this match itself, I was not offended by it. I think everybody was still somewhat protected. Right. Nobody looked bad. Right. So I can't be too mad about it. Let's go to Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley for the WWE Champion.
This was actually a really good match.
It was structured beautifully. The pre-match attack with the full Nelson, keeping the credibility of that move with Bobby Lashley very high.
Yep.
Drew McIntyre kicking out at one at basically everything, making sure to keep McIntyre looking really strong, right, but not burying Lashley.
The drama with Lana,
it was subtle.
MVP was subtle, but it was done very tastefully.
It was tasteful. It wasn't like the main focus of the rivalry.
Right.
Which I really enjoyed.
But to me, I even explained this during the show, is that this almost feels like a rivalry between Drew McIntyre and MVP.
Right. Bobby Lashley is just the coat for it, and honestly, McIntyre won with a Claymore. Once again, one Claymore, finisher. One finisher should finish the match.
Done.
And they're doing a great job with it. Drew McIntyre looked strong. Bobby Lashley still looked strong. Right. He still looked good. And honestly, if they say this match is going to happen next month, I'm not going to be mad.
As long as they keep... Remember, Drew McIntyre, again, is a Heyman guy.
Right. Well, they're not going to do anything until the next pay-per-view anyway with it. Right. They have until July 19th, I think the next pay-per-view is.
Which is Extreme Rules.
So they have
a really weird
and
looking...
also plenty of time to build a really good, solid foundation for an incredible match.
See Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley again, for sure.
And I wouldn't be mad about it.
Well, okay, so that was the last, kind of match.
Also, to keep in mind of the end. So Lana came out, got on the apron. Yep. Lashley almost ran into Lana. McIntyre headbutted Lashley into Lana, which fell Lana back into MVP, which set up Claymore. So, once again, that subtlety where Lana unintentionally screwed Bobby Lashley out of this belt, where... you know that either next week or the week after, they're going to have I'm done with you, bitch, kind of thing. And like I said, that subtlety to where it's not the main focus of the rivalry.
I can build that tension up until Extreme Rules.
Right.
Can you imagine?
Right. And like I said, it's good. I'm very happy with this.
What if Lana double crosses?
Right. But like I said, keep it how it is right now, though. Have Lashley maybe win a couple of matches on television, bring back that credibility that Bobby Lashley is keeping right now. Right. Boom. It's so easy.
It literally writes itself.
Right.
All right, so let's go to
this was a very good match.
What about the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders? This was interesting.
So let's just at least get the groundwork. They scheduled a Raw Tag Team title match between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. The entire rivalry was based on what you can do, I can do better, which I did not like at all. The bowling and the golfing and blah blah blah. But I think this was a blow off, and I'm not mad about it. It was a backstage brawl. It was a cinematic thing where they brawled everywhere. There were some really fun comedy spots.
But honestly, it worked pretty well.
It did.
For what it was.
They have really good timing. These four guys have great chemistry with each other.
Let's talk about who made their appearance again.
Akira Tozawa turned up with a gigantic black ninja, bringing out a sword. I'm not kidding you either. This is what happened. They combined forces like the fucking Power Rangers and turned into the Viking Profits. I'm surprised none of them were wearing spandex and doing terrible karate.
Right.
There's a wasted
I
opportunity.
mean, they were doing terrible karate, but they weren't wearing spandex.
It's a wasted opportunity. But
Let's talk about oh god, who's that guy? Ivar's power to
oh yeah, so
summon the turkey leg.
yes, so they had turkey legs throughout the entire thing. Obviously, everything in there where Ivar was, eating turkey legs or pulling turkey legs essentially out of his ass, which is once again another wasted opportunity. So
I think it's just
a turkey leg fell into a bush. And I'm not kidding you, this is what happened. You can watch it. I recommend it because it was fun. He, shows his hand like he's a fucking Jedi.
No, like he's Thor, and he's summoning, instead of summoning his hammer.
Yeah, no, it's the Force. He's and it starts shaking, and then whoop, it teleports over.
No, it's just like Thor, because obviously Vikings, Thor.
Well, yeah, Jedis do that too with the lightsabers.
I know, but they're obviously referencing Thor with it.
Somebody's walking up the stairs.
Someone is?
I believe so.
No, they're not.
Are you sure?
Yep.
All right. Anyway, yeah, it was so fun, and the Akira Tozawa coming back is great. Yeah. They ended up on top of the production trucks and fell into a big thing of garbage, and
and there was this alligator in the garbage.
No, it was like a tentacle.
I thought it looked like an alligator tail almost.
I thought it was a tentacle.
It might have been an alligator tail.
And they were freaking out, and that was the end of the segment. Nothing else happened. There was no winner, there was no loser. Obviously they went back on saying that Ivar is cute, and then Eric is not so much, even though Eric is actually married.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty funny. The comedic timing of everything that was happening here was fun.
It was.
And
it was a great blow off. It was like bathroom break for the greatest.
But they have to have a Raw tag team title match. They have to.
Let's talk about the greatest wrestling match ever.
I swear to God, somebody's coming up the stairs.
They were coming up the stairs, they'd be knocking. All right, so let's talk about this. Edge, Randy Orton.
Randy Orton in the greatest wrestling match ever.
The greatest wrestling match ever.
What were they thinking? So this piped.
Was not a 7-star match. I'm sorry.
No.
In fact, I would be surprised if Dave Meltzer gave this a 5-star. This was not the greatest wrestling match ever.
I would say this is like a 3.5. They had a good match. They
had a great match. I would even give it a 4-star. It was a great looking match.
It was a great. There were some things in this match that I particularly did not enjoy. The piped in crowd noise got a little grating. Except they did it well enough to where it wasn't offensive.
And Mean Gene Okerlund. No, Paul Orndorff. Never mind. The announcing.
Howard Finkel.
Whatever is. You know what? Who cares?
I'm gonna hit Peanut Gallery later because it does mean a lot.
God, I had a lot of wine here. I'm sorry.
So they had the OG Madison Square Garden drop down mic that they did back in the OG WrestleMania, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like it. I think it's classy. But instead of having an announcer do it on the mic itself, they phoned in Howard Finkel's announcements because he announced both of them at one point or another. Mm-hmm. And they had this announce them. Why? What was?
Because it's the greatest wrestling match.
But Howard Finkel is dead. I was somewhat disrespected from this. I thought it was an insult. I think it was an insult to him, and I think it was an insult to them. It's like, yeah, you're good, but you're not as good as Howard Finkel, and you will never be. So we're gonna have him do the announcing when he's dead. But what I really hated was they blacked out everything, and then they had a spotlight on it. I'm like, okay, come on, he's not announcing this from the fucking grave, you pricks.
Right. Now, if they had a grave and they stuck it in there, they could probably get away with it. That would be even more insulting.
Oh, that would be so fucking. It would be like when Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon took on Shawn Michaels and God.
Right. Though they should have had Armando Alejandro
Montalvo. But he can't shampoo the Diva's hair.
It's alright, you got to announce the greatest wrestling match ever.
I liked so instead of the camera angles to the crowd, which were kind of annoying, I kind of liked the overhead camera angle. I kind of liked the ones on the corner, and I mean, the jarring ones were kind of weird, but I kind of liked the camera angles. They told a great story in this match where Edge was at first really nervous on saying, can I do this? And that's what they were saying.
Right.
Can you do this? The focus on the neck. And obviously, Edge would not have been in this match if he was, one, not clear to compete, and two, not comfortable with doing some things.
Right.
And I think they did just enough finisher kickouts to where it was not 100% insulting.
Oh, yeah, they put on a great match.
It was a good match. I really like this match.
Anyways, Orton got the win.
He punted the first punt in a very long time.
A punt for the win. Randy Orton obviously is amazing. Edge is just as amazing. But what we'll do from this point is we will do a couple things. All right. So Tiger, your rating overall.
Okay.
Your favorite match of the night, and was Edge versus Randy Orton the greatest wrestling match ever?
I'm going to say this in the opposite of how you questioned it.
Okay.
I do not believe Edge and Randy Orton's match was the greatest wrestling match ever. I do think this was the match of the night.
Okay.
And I'm going to give the show overall a solid 3.
Okay.
Nothing personally offended me. The last 3 matches, fourth one maybe, but at least the last 3 matches really made this show worth it.
Okay.
And I'm including the Street Profits and Viking Raiders fight. I loved that just because it was nice little comedic fun.
All right.
And heaven forbid we have fun watching wrestling.
Right, seriously. It's not
all right, go ahead. I'm going to ask you in the same order that I answered.
Okay. So
favorite
Edge and Randy Orton was not the greatest wrestling match ever. However, I do believe that it was the match of the night. Now, if you want to do live matches, I think that a solid second is the Drew McIntyre Bobby Lashley match.
100%.
Solid second.
100%.
Worst match tonight, obviously, is Asuka and Nia Jax. But I give this actually a 3.5 stars. I think there were more good matches than there were bad matches.
Nothing offended me.
Nothing was offensive at all. Asuka and Nia Jax, just fuck that match.
Right. All right. I think we are good. Thank you all for listening. Feel free to check out.
Also, next week, what is our topic?
Next week's topic is a fun one. It's going to be happy tickly. It's drugs. We're going to talk about drugs. Everything illegal to prescription medication, the abuses,
to piles of apology cocaine.
Oh, trust me, the inside of our studio is going to look like an evidence locker in a fucking police room, except there's no knee to the back of the head. Anyway, thank you.
Wow. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening.
We're good.
And we will not be demonetized, and I will probably be doing so next week.
I wouldn't be surprised if we got death threats.
Be
majestic. You're about to listen to the Pro Wrestling Zone podcast, a Majestic production property. One of the quickest rising professional wrestling podcasts on the market today, and the most entertaining podcast in the history of existence. Please note, before diving into the show, that this is for entertainment purposes only, so myself and Peanut Gallery engage in exaggerations, dirty or offensive jokes, and satirical comments. If you are a triggered little snowflake who gets professionally offended, this is not the podcast for you. If you do enjoy our work, we ask that you contribute to our Patreon page at patreon.com/majesticp. Contributors get access to the Discord, vote on what topic we cover, and enjoy exclusive content such as pay-per-view watch parties. Here's a sample of that from NXT TakeOver Portland. What about the other company that Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly went from?
Oh,
the one that they were signed exclusively to.
Oh, Ring of Honor?
Oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh, that's gonna be a lot of fun. Oh my god! I felt that in my hand. If this is something you believe you would enjoy, visit our Patreon at patreon.com/MajesticP and become a patron. This ensures that we continue to entertain you for years to come. Without further ado, sit back and enjoy the show.